Okay, so today I want to teach you about how to accompany singers on the piano, especially for church pianists. And this is geared mostly for accompanying a soloist. And the reason being is we're going to take a few liberties with some of the chords in the song. In the songs that I'm going to demonstrate, and you can't really change the harmonies when you've got multiple singers and several of them will be singing harmony, unless of course the changes are worked out ahead of time, and of course that's possible. But for soloists, you can many times just take liberty very easily and without much pre-planning, because they're going to sing the melody and you can change the harmony underneath the melody, and it really makes for a nice effect. So but accompanying soloists, this can be done, of course, with soloists or groups, as long as it does not interfere with harmony singers, people who are singing alto or bass and things like that. So the first, there's three chords that you can use when you're accompanying a soloist, and very effective, and it'll take your accompaniment to another level. So when a soloist is singing, for the most part, the accompaniment that I'm going to play is going to be minimal. When they sing, I want to support. I do not want to come to the foreground and take center stage, so to speak. I want the piano to be supporting the soloist. So as they're singing, most of the time, many times, it'll be something like this. Of course, you've seen, if you've ever played an arrangement, if you've ever heard singers and accompanists, that's what you hear quite often, and some variation. But there's a pattern that supports. And then when the soloist is holding a note out or not singing, that is the opportunity for you to come to the forefront, so to speak, with some fills. So as they hold the note, or as they're singing, as they hold the note or they stop singing, that's when we, as we're accompanying, take a more prominent role. And so you use fills and some of the stuff we're going to talk about today. All right, so three chords that you need to be aware of and start to use to bring your accompaniment up a level, and that is, the first one is the 4 chord, and I'm talking about specifically the minor 4 chord. Now in any given key, the 1, 4, and 5 are major chords, and the 2, 3, and 6 are minor chords. So if you think of a key, say the key of C, that's all white notes, and the C scale contains all the white notes, and each of those notes corresponds with one of the chords in the key. So the first note is the 1, corresponds to the 1 chord. C is the 1 chord. The second note, D, corresponds to the 2 chord, the D minor. E minor is the 3 chord. F major is the 4 chord. 5, G is the 5 chord, the G major. A minor is the 6th chord, and then you've got this chord, the 7. It's a minor. It's a minor 7, minor flat 5 chord. It's a diminished chord, and then back to the 1 chord. So, in a major key, the 1, 4, and 5 are major chords, and the 2, 3, and 6 are minor chords. So, if we take the 4 chord, which is usually major, and we change it to minor, this can be a very effective tool to use. And I like to use it to set up the final cadence of a song for a dramatic ending. Very nice, very pretty climax, which sets up the final cadence. Okay, so the final cadence is almost always the 5 chord to the 1 chord. So if you think of Jesus Loves Me, there's the 5 in the bass over the 1, which is very typical, to the 5 chord, and then here's the 1 chord. So if we were to use the 4 chord but make it minor to set up the final cadence, it would sound like this. So there's lots of opportunity to do that, but as you begin to do it, as you begin to recognize it in other songs and maybe songs that you hear it all the time. You'll start to recognize opportunities to do it when you're playing and when you're accompanying a soloist. Now, obviously, it has to be planned out ahead of time. Hey, we're going to do this. We're going to do this turnaround. We're going to add this tag, and that's the opportunity to do something like this. But quite often, you don't even have to pre-plan it, like in the case of Jesus Loves Me. If it's the last time through and I want to add in that chord just to bring us to a more dramatic close, so I've done this before for people who are singing without even telling them. If they're a confident singer, and they're going to lean right into it because it sounds great. It sounds very natural. The minor 4 chord. Now it's also related to the 2 minor 7 flat 5. Okay, so if you look at in the key of C, you've got the F is the 4 chord. We're going to make it minor in this case. Now the 2 chord is the D, and that's a minor chord. But I want you to notice, if you take the F minor and just put a D underneath, this is called a 2 minor 7 flat 5. So the 2 minor 7, D minor 7 looks like that, and that fits, that is a chord in the key of C. But then we take this note and make it flat. This is a minor 7 flat 5. We've got that minor 4 on top, and then just the 2 note underneath. All right, so these 2 chords are related. They can be used interchangeably. However, you do need to be aware that the 2, if you use the 2 instead of the minor 4, it's going to be more tensious. There's going to be more of a dramatic resolve. So if I go just that minor 4 chord, the minor 4, it sticks out because it's not part of the key, but there's not a whole lot of tension and dissonance. But if I go to the minor 2, you're going to notice more tension and dissonance. So it's there's 2 options there, and you'll want to experiment and see which one fits best for the situation that you're using it for. Now, I'm going to demonstrate this in How Great Thou Art, and a great opportunity for this is at the end of the song. So there's 2 final phrases where we repeat How Great Thou Art twice. Now this is a popular song for soloists to sing. So the end of it is now the 2 notes before the last note, they have fermatas, bird's eyes, so they're to be drawn out. That's a great opportunity to do it. So I would, instead of playing this, instead of playing that note right there to lead us to this, and then this is the final note, I'm going to change this to my minor 4 chord. So it's a really great way to add some, to add to that final cadence. It really makes it much more satisfying of an ending. And I would probably save it for the end of the song. Here's a way to make it, like I said, to fill in when they're singing, when they're holding a note. It's an opportunity for you to play more. So there's a bird's eye on that note. While they're holding out, how great, and the soloist is holding that out, you can do a arpeggiated run. So this is really, really nice effect. Let me say that if you use the minor 2, flat 5, minor 2 minor 7 flat 5, I should call it, there's an opportunity to do a nice hand over hand run, which makes it it's very easy to do, and it's easy to make it flashy. So what we would have in this case, we're in the key of B flat now. So my minor 4 chord is that E flat, and my minor 4 chord is the E flat. If I were to use the 2 minor 7 flat 5, it would be the C diminished, that 7 right there. What I can do is I can use my right hand for these 3 notes and my left hand for this note, and that gives me the opportunity to my left hand to help and make this a fluid run. It's easy to do very fast now when I do it that way. And you can almost always do this in any situation. Just you wanna set your run up in such a way that the left hand helps with a black note, and preferably a black note right before a white note. So say if I'm in the key of C and I want to use the 2 in the key of C, minor 7 flat 5. I would not want to do this run where my right hand does these notes and my left hand helps with that one. That's more awkward than it needs to be as I try to... The best way to do it is have the right hand help with the black note. And that's a way you can set up this run, and it really, really fluid up the piano as they hold the note out. It's a great way to add this run to that chord there. And again, with any chord. Now, say if I'm in the key of E flat, my minor 4 chord would be A flat minor. If I were to make it the 2 minor 7 flat 5 version, I would add the F down here. That gives me a 2 minor 7 flat 5. The way I would want to set up this run is have these fingers help with these notes. The left hand would come and help with the E flat. And then I could do the run up the piano like this. So when they're singing, we step back and we do a supportive role, a more spacious accompaniment. Playing less. When they hold out a note, that gives me the opportunity to play more. Now, the next chord that you need to be familiar with is the minor 6 chord. So in the key of C, the 6 is minor. That would be A minor. A minor is your 6th chord, and the way we would use this is as a substitute for the final 1 chord. All right, so go back to Jesus Loves Me. So you notice once you hit that minor 6 chord, it's asking for something else. It's like, okay, what's next? I thought we were ending, but now we've gone into something new. So it's called the deceptive cadence. Anytime the cadence sets up the 1 chord and goes to anything other than the 1 chord, it's a deceptive cadence. And there's many different things that it could go to, but in this case we're going to the 6th chord, and this is perfect to turn the song around, to do a tag or to repeat a chorus, or to just add something onto the end of it. So in the case of How Great Thou Art, we're in the key of B flat, the 6th chord. It's going to be G minor. So here I'm just going to go to the G minor instead of the C, instead of the B flat. So there's that opportunity to throw in the minor 4 run. Then you saw how the minor 6 led us right back into to repeat the last line of the chorus. And this can be used very effectively. Now, one thing is, quite often, the deceptive cadence will go into the 4 chord. So say if I'm in How Great Thou Art again. So I'm going to go to the G minor, to the 4 chord. That's just a great way to turn around. It's called a turnaround, when we turn the song back around to a certain point to repeat a certain portion of the song. So another thing to keep in mind, though, knowing that we've got that minor 4 in our back pocket, we can use the deceptive cadence to go to the minor 4. This sounds really nice. Now, that's another way you can use the minor 4. Now, another thing, understanding a deceptive cadence is going to setting up the 1 chord and then going to a different chord. You can sneak the minor 4 in as a deceptive cadence. So you can substitute it for the 1 chord. In this case, it would be like this. Now, demonstrating all these on How Great Thou Art, but there is opportunity to do this on most songs. You'll find you'll find places to add it in, especially when you keep in mind you can use the minor 4 or the minor the 2 minor 7 flat 5. So that means I can accommodate more notes as I look for opportunities to add this in. Now, you got the minor 4, which can be used in a lot of different ways, and then you've got the deceptive cadence, the minor 6, which is a great way to turn the song around to add a tag. So you can just do a tag without the minor 6, but again, this is going to level up your accompaniment. If the soloist says, I want to repeat the last line of the chorus, you can just go ahead and you'll hear a lot of people do it that way. But if you can come in and they say, hey, I'm going to do a tag, and you just automatically know, well, that's a perfect opportunity. And you don't even have to discuss this, really. You don't have to tell the soloist, oh, well, okay, I'm going to do this different chord there. Don't let it throw you, because this is such a natural step into a turnaround, a tag, that they're going to flow right with it 9 times out of 10. And so the last chord that I see a lot of accompanists they pass over the opportunity to use this chord quite often, and it's too bad too, but it is the suspended chord. Now you hear this all the time, but a lot of people don't understand its role, its function, and how powerful of a movement it can be. Suspended chords. So let's go back to the C. C chord is the 1, 3, and 5. That's C, E, G. The C is the 1 of the chord, the E is the 3 of the chord, and the G is the 5 of the chord. 1, 3, 5. And all major chords are set up in the same interval spacing. A suspended chord, there's 2 types of suspended chords, and the suspension refers to the 3rd of the chord, this note. So we've got the C. The 3rd defines the chord. If I have this right here, it's called an open 5th, and it's open because we have no idea what it is. There's so many options. It could be a all those options, they're all different chords, and they're all used quite often. But if I just have this, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know if I got a minor, a major, or it's a minor, or if it's one of these others. All those are options, and they're all used. So we've got this fifth. Now the question is, where's the third? What is the third doing? If we put that in there, I know exactly what I've got. I've got a major chord. So the suspension has to do with the third. We can either suspend it to the fourth, and now we've got what's called a sus4 chord, or we can suspend it to the 2. Now we've got what's called a sus2 chord, C sus2. I'm going to talk only about the sus4 because the sus4 is a more powerful resolution to the straight major. So that's an opportunity to suspend the chord, and you kind of feel like something is suspended, and then it kind of drops into place, and that's that fourth note. There's the resolve. That fourth chord, that fourth degree of the scale is it kind of keeps the chord from a satisfying resolution, and you're kind of hanging on to where is it going, what's coming next, where is that resolve. And then you get it. So this can be used very effectively on the 1 and the 5 chord. Now you can't really use it on the 4 chord unless you depart from the key, because when you go to the 4 chord, the sus4 would need a B flat, and there's no B flat in the key of C, or in any key you're going to find the 4 chord. Say if I'm in the key of E flat and I use that 4 chord, there's no D flat. So the 4 chord does not accommodate it unless you depart from the key. A whole other lesson, but the 4 chord actually accommodates a sharp 4, which is very beautiful. You may say that didn't sound very good, but the 4 with the sharp 4 is used a lot. One such example is just I Surrender All. It goes to it uses this A major over this G. Another one is Day by Day. It goes so those are demonstrations of the 4 chord using the sharp 4 of the 4 chord. But nonetheless, on the 5 chord and the 1 chord, you can utilize the sus4, and it's just a way to prolong the resolution. So back to How Great Thou Art. Here's my minor 4. I'm going to go to the 1 chord, but I'm going to suspend it. So it can be used on the 1 chord very effectively. It's also great on the 5 chord, because the 5 chord is the most dissonant chord. It's the one that begs for the 1 chord resolution, and so we can make that even more drawn out and dramatic by first suspending the 5 chord, so we go from the 5 sus4 chord to the 5 chord to the 1 chord, and it's done all the time. And it's actually written into a lot of hymns. But then once you know about it, you can use it whenever and wherever you want, and it's really effective. So I'm looking for an opportunity here in How Great Thou Art, and I don't really see a convenient spot. But how about Amazing Grace? Okay, so this is the 5 chord. Back to the 1 chord. Some people play it different, but now watch what happens when I make the 5 chord that I went to, I make it a suspended chord. So much we could do to tie these notes, these loose ends together, because also when you go to your suspended, there's an opportunity for the minor 4 once again. To pepper that in with that prolonged resolution. But all that to say, once you start to use the minor 4 chord in your progressions, the minor 6 to turn your songs around, to go and to do your tags, and then also the suspended chord whenever you have that opportunity. And of course, you'll have to use your ear to not overdo it, but all these are going to level up any accompaniment. And again, just keeping in mind, when they're singing, I hang back with a minimalist approach. They're singing, oh, oh Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all. And then they hold out a note. So those are all things that if you just keep those in mind, your accompanying will level up tremendously. And I hope all that helps, and thanks for watching.